Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, commander of vast armies, and ruler of millions, was a man who chose to wake at 4 a.m. every day. Not because duty forced him, but because he understood a profound truth. The mind wins first, art loses entirely. While the world slept, he rose in quiet solitude, embracing those early hours as sacred, a time to prepare, to reflect, to steel himself for whatever trials lay ahead. What did Marcus know about the power of the early morning that most modern minds have long forgotten? Imagine this. While most people drifted through their days half awake, chasing distractions and avoiding discomfort, Marcus met suffering head-on. He confronted war, betrayal, and the chaos of empire, not with rashness or despair, but with a calm and unshakable strength born in those still pre-dawn moments. There was something almost sacred in that silence, a kind of ritual that forged resilience, discipline, and clarity. It was a secret weapon that made him unbreakable, not just as a leader, but as a man. This video reveals the truth behind Marcus Aurelius's 4 a.m. ritual. You don't have to be an emperor to learn from it. Even adopting a fragment of his morning discipline can transform the way you live, work, and lead. If you've ever felt overwhelmed, distracted, or off balance, this ancient practice might be the anchor you need. So, what is it about those early hours that shaped one of history's greatest minds? And how can it shape yours? Imagine waking up every morning knowing the weight of an empire rests on your shoulders. Marcus Aurelius did exactly that. As Roman emperor, he bore the crushing pressure of commanding armies, navigating political intrigue, and making decisions that affected millions. Each day was a storm of responsibilities, threats, and expectations, thunderous and relentless. Yet despite all this power and prestige, Marcus was not a man untouched by fear or doubt. Inside, he faced battles no less fierce than those on the battlefield. The struggle Marcus fought every morning is one we all know, even today. The pull between comfort and duty, the urge to linger in bed versus the call to rise and strengthen the soul. When that alarm rang, though it was likely a servant, not a buzzing phone, Marcus faced the same temptation as anyone else. Stay warm, stay safe, stay asleep. But he chose otherwise. Because for him, waking early wasn't about checking off tasks or squeezing more hours into the day. It was a sacred discipline to train his inner self. Marcus understood that true strength came not from external power or fleeting pleasures, but from the mastery of the mind. The early morning hours offered quiet space to prepare for the day's inevitable chaos, not with panic, but with calm resolve. In this stillness, he confronted his own weaknesses, fears, and frustrations head-on. He wrote, reflected, and reminded himself of the virtues he sought to embody: courage, wisdom, patience. This was not productivity, it was preparation. Not a race to get more done, but a training ground for the soul. Marcus wasn't just getting ready to lead an empire, he was getting ready to lead himself. His mornings were a daily battle won before the world even woke up. So, what did Marcus do in those sacred hours to train his soul? How did this ritual shape the unbreakable man history remembers? That's where we go next. When the world around Marcus Aurelius was still cloaked in darkness and silence, he was already awake, not rushing to his throne, but sitting quietly with himself. The first hours of the morning were sacred, reserved for a ritual of self-mastery that no emperor's power could replace. 1. Self-mastery. Before the world wakes, before the sun rose, Marcus took pen to paper. He journaled, reflecting deeply on his thoughts, his intentions, and his values. This wasn't a casual jotting down of the day's errands. It was a deliberate sharpening of his mind. He asked himself fundamental questions. What is within my control today? What thoughts will I allow? How will I respond to challenges? For Marcus, Stoicism began with the ownership of the present moment, the only true power any person possesses. By taking charge of his inner world before the chaos began, he prepared himself to face whatever lay ahead with calm and clarity. 2. Prepare for hardship and insult. Marcus didn't live under illusions that life would be easy. In fact, he deliberately anticipated adversity. He mentally rehearsed the difficulties he would encounter that day. Today, you will meet the arrogant, the ungrateful, the cruel, he reminded himself. This practice, known as premeditatio malorum, or the preparation for misfortune, acted as armor for his mind. Instead of being caught off guard or overwhelmed by conflict, he trained himself to expect it and therefore remain steady. By facing the worst in advance, Marcus was no stranger to hardship. He met it head-on, with resilience and grace. 3. Remind himself of death. No mourning was complete without confronting the inevitability of death. The Stoic practice of memento mori, remember that you will die, was a powerful tool for perspective. Marcus reminded himself, you could leave life right now. This sobering thought wasn't meant to cause despair, but to instill urgency, clarity, and humility in his actions. When you face death daily, trivial worries fade, and what truly matters shines brighter. This awareness allowed Marcus to live fully, lead wisely, and accept the fleeting nature of power and life itself. Modern science has finally caught up to what the Stoics intuitively understood thousands of years ago. The early morning hours hold a unique power for the mind and soul. Neuroscientific research reveals that our brains operate differently before dawn. Neurons fire with less distraction. Our emotional centers are calmer, and cognitive clarity is heightened. This neurological quiet isn't just a biological fact. It creates a space where self-awareness and reflection flourish. Before the world wakes, before phones buzz with notifications, before the noise of traffic or chatter fills the air, there is a rare stillness. Imagine a moment untouched by urgency or distraction. That stillness is sacred because it's when you meet your true self without interference. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. In those hours, he didn't just prepare for the day. He connected with his core values and intentions, grounding himself in the clarity that daytime chaos often obscures. The tension is stark. Most people surrender this early hour to impulse and habit. They stay wrapped in warmth, scroll mindlessly through their phones, or drift back to sleep. In doing so, they hand over control of their day, and often their lives, to external forces and fleeting desires. Marcus, by contrast, seized the morning with fierce intention. He used those quiet hours not for distraction, but for discipline. Here's the mini twist that changes everything. Waking early is not just a productivity hack to get more done. It's far more profound, a moral statement. Rising before the sun says, I am not a slave to comfort. It declares a willingness to endure hardship, to prioritize inner strength over momentary ease. This simple act signals that you choose mastery over your mind and body, not submission. The Stoics saw early rising as the foundation of self-discipline and resilience. It's a daily commitment to show up for yourself, sharpen your mind, and ready your spirit for whatever the world throws at you. In those silent, empty hours, you cultivate the unshakable calm that becomes your shield during life's storms. Marcus Aurelius didn't rise at 4 a.m. because he was forced to. He chose it as an act of rebellion against the chaos that threatened to consume him and the empire he ruled. In a world swirling with noise, distraction, and endless demands, waking early was his way to carve out a sacred space of order and calm. It was his silent stand against the empire of distraction that daily assaults our minds. The ultimate realization is this: to master the outer world, the battlefield of politics, war, and power, you must first conquer the inner world. And that battle begins long before the sun ever rises. The most important victory is the one you win against your own impulses, fears, and excuses. Marcus understood that the mind, like any empire, crumbles without vigilant leadership. Rising early was his way to take command of himself before facing anything else. This teaches us a profound lesson. Waking early isn't just about adding more hours to your day. It is about who you decide to become in the silence of those early moments. It is where you cultivate the discipline, clarity, and resilience that define your character. It's where you prepare to meet the day, not as a victim of circumstance, but as a master of your own fate. Now picture yourself at dawn. The world is still wrapped in darkness and sleep. You are awake, steady, and calm. Perhaps you journal your values, reflect on your purpose, or steel yourself for the challenges ahead. In that quiet solitude, you aren't just getting ready for a busy day, you're shaping your destiny. This is the power Marcus Aurelius discovered and wielded with unwavering intent. Remember, Marcus didn't need to wake early. He chose it, fully aware of the discomfort it demanded. But he also knew the cost of sleeping through his own life was far greater. The slow erosion of strength, purpose, and freedom. The price of surrendering your mornings is the price of surrendering your potential. So the question remains, will you rise with the dawn, not just to edit hours, but to reclaim control over your mind and life? Will you take the first step in mastering your inner empire, the true source of all power? The choice is yours. Marcus faced armies, plagues, and betrayal, but his first and fiercest enemy was always comfort. Every morning he defeated it with quiet resolve. You don't need to be an emperor to live like one. All it takes is the next sunrise and the courage to greet it with purpose. Tomorrow, wake up 1 hour earlier. Journal your thoughts. Prepare your mind for hardship. Reflect on your mortality. Then, step into the day as if it truly matters. Comment, "I rise with purpose," if you're ready to try. Share this video with someone who needs strength before the sun comes up.